Please stand. We'll have taps at this time. And salute. Two. Please be seated. At this time, we'll have a memorial address from a member of our National Director of the Chaplains of Four Chaplains.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. So if you look in your directory here, it says that my name is William Kamer. As you can see, I'm not William Kamer. I am Lou Cavalieri. William Kamer is the Executive Director of the Chapel of Four Chaplains. I'm on the board of the Chapel of Four Chaplains at the Navy Yard in Philadelphia. I'm Navy, Kamer is Army, and Army guys tend to get things confused, so he's not here today. But I want to say that every time I get invited here, and I've been here several times in the past, it always seems that Navy beats Army in the Army-Navy game. So let's keep that up and invite me again next year, please. So, you've heard the story several times about what happened on the Dorchester and how the four chaplains and also Charles David reacted to all of that. And the story is one of sacrifice. Now, today is February 2nd. Everybody calls February 2nd Groundhog Day. Now, if you were not aware of this, the groundhog did show up, he saw a shadow, went back into his hole. So we're stuck now with 4 or 5 more weeks of winter. But what was that groundhog doing? The groundhog was looking for a light. If you go home and look where you planted your bulbs, tulips, daffodils, etc., you will see that they're just breaking through the ground as they are in the front of my house right now. They're looking for light. The story of the whole idea of what the groundhog does just fascinates me. And why do thousands of young people go out there at Puxatawny, Pennsylvania at 3 o'clock in the morning and wait until he shows up at 7 in the morning? Why do they do that? Because they're looking for being part of that light. And here we are recommending or remembering another source of light. And that is what happened on the Dorchester on February 3rd, 1943. You know, we get invited to a lot of ceremonies, which is why Bill got confused with the schedule today. He's in the Navy Yard right now in Philadelphia conducting a four-chaplain service. This morning, up in Gilman, Vermont, at the chapel where Chaplain Fox was the minister, the American Legion there is celebrating a four-chaplain service. In Florida, southern Florida, this is the one that I was at last year where I couldn't be here, the American Legion for the Department of Florida is celebrating their four-chaplain service in Fort Lauderdale. There is a service going on. There was a service up this morning at St. Stephen's Church which is the last parish for Father Washington. There is a service that will go on tomorrow at the last synagogue that Chaplain Good served at, which is in York, Pennsylvania. There's a service today up at the Dutch Reformed Church in Schenectady, New York, which is where Chaplain Poling last served. But it's not only those churches and the American Legion. We get all sorts of notifications from all over the country about Four Chaplain services. There are literally hundreds of them going on, many of them today and over the next several days. On Tuesday, which is February 4th, the day after the sinking, we will have our banquet in Philadelphia, which we've been doing for 57 years, where we honor the Four Chaplains. And we are blessed this year to have the Chief of Army Chaplains with us. The Chief of Air Force Chaplains will also be joining us. If you recall, the Dorchester were basically Army Air Corps being shipped to Greenland to build an air base. And the Four Chaplains, of course, were Army Chaplains because back then the Army Chaplains serviced the Army Air Corps, just like today Navy Chaplains continue to serve the Marine Corps. Tomorrow, a wreath will be placed at the tomb of the unknown soldier. And that wreath will be placed by one of our board members from the Chapel of Four Chaplains in Philadelphia. So it's great to remember all of this, but more importantly, what are we doing with it? Now last year, Bill had recommended that you read the book about the Four Chaplains called The Immortal Four Chaplains, which told the story through the eyes of Charles David, whom you just heard Burley Hannah read about. This year, I'm going to encourage you all to join us in our campaigns to help veterans. As you know, the Chapel of Four Chaplains in Philadelphia has a four-pronged approach. The first is our Legion of Honor, which we will be conferring today on Daniel Dunn. We do about 400 of those every year. The second is our scholarship program so that we can get children interested in this story and carrying on this theme of selfless service. The third is our Emergency Chaplains Corps. And these are chaplains from all over the country who are busy right now. We had to dispatch several to Washington, D.C., and also now to Philadelphia for the two recent airline catastrophes to help out with the situation is there. Just like we had 44 chaplains at Ground Zero during the 9/11 bombing. What can I say? I've been up here several times. You've heard me say this before. What impact does it have on you? A lot of people ask me what motivated the Four Chaplains to give up their life jackets. Do you know what that means? To give up your life jacket, you're really sealing your fate. And I cannot tell you what motivated them, except that it was part of their call. Their call was to minister to the men on the Dorchester, and they did that, in an heroic fashion. The greatest example of selfless service, to give up your life for somebody else and save them. We see many examples of this, and we want to honor that. And everybody in here has the opportunity to do that. It might not be in a big way, but in small ways, and also in big ways, if you want to go that way, you can help other people. And this is our fourth pillar at the Chapel of Four Chaplains, which is our outreach to veterans. Many of you know that we have a sock drive sock drive for veterans that takes place in the fall of every year. Last year, 2024, we collected and gave out over 3,000 pairs of socks, hundreds of ditty bags, and over 1,500 coats. And I know that many of you in the audience here, your posts have received some of those items to give to people whom you felt needed them. So, I'm urging you that when we put out the call in 2025 in September, that you join us in this campaign. You can do a lot of small things, because I want to tell you that these coats and these socks went flying at our door. And as recently as 2 weeks ago, another veteran came to us. This guy works with us. He goes to the Kensington area of Philadelphia, and he ministers to homeless veterans. And he came to us and said, the weather's been really cold, I need more coats. So we went and got another dozen coats for him to give out to the people in Kensington because of the weather, which is still cold and did not improve. We need your help. This is the legacy that's been put on our shoulders. The legacy of the 4 chaplains is one of selfless service. Everybody here identifies with that, because everybody knows that just like that groundhog who seeks light, the 4 chaplains linked their arms and went down with the ship. And they were seeking light. And they found that light, and they are still bathing in that light. May we ever be grateful for that and use that as an inspiration for us to find our light. Thank you.